Joe, a North American, was born into a Christian family with a very devout mother. Since childhood, he loved everything to do with music. Instead of playing football or baseball, he spent hours in the garage of his house practicing drums. At the institute, he met a friend who introduced him to the world of drugs. This friend's mother, a member of Wica, seduced Joe into the world of witchcraft. From there, his relationship with God began to cool. Sometimes he went to church without desire, just to please his parents. Years went by, and now that he was over 30, Joe had accumulated more than 10 years of drug use, which led him into a depression in which, in his life without God, he had no incentive other than his deep devotion to drugs. One day, with a thick bitterness in his soul, he agreed to attend the Sunday service. God had been calling him for several years, but his great love was music and his addiction to drugs. During the service, the pastor stopped in the middle of the service and asked the people in a strange way to close their eyes and pray to the Father. Joe closed his eyes and instantly saw himself projected onto the top of a beautiful hill, in a glorious landscape, in a sparkling meadow, precisely mown, dotted with flowers of dazzling colors. From his position and in front of him, in a valley, he saw a huge crowd of people dressed in white. Joe could sense an intense happiness in this crowd of souls. As he looked to his right, he saw an imposing figure crowned in majestic garments. This figure was Jesus, hugging and joking with the crowd. He understood that what God values most in all his creation, more than gold and silver, is man, this humanity. This humanity is the object of his love and his attention, more than anything else in the whole universe. Suddenly Jesus is aware of his presence. He looks at him intently, those deep blue eyes with an emerald green background, and Joe, at the shock of that look, hesitates and almost falls on his back. No, Joe thought. He wasn't worthy to be in his presence. There is no way, he thought, terrified. I can't be in front of him. No way. I'm a sinner, a wretch, drug addict, rebellious and arrogant. And he ran in the opposite direction. But with his spiritual senses, he saw Jesus making his way through the crowd, moving in his direction, as if nothing else was more important at that moment. Just this man, this lonely bystander on the hill. Feeling dirty and unworthy, Joe ran as far away as he could, fleeing from God. He could see, because senses in the spiritual realm are enhanced, that Jesus was still chasing him. When he realized that he couldn't escape from God, he fell to the ground on his knees, covered his face with his hands, and wept with a feeling of guilt, because he felt deeply dirty and he couldn't hide his filth from the penetrating gaze of God. Shortly afterwards, he felt Jesus embracing him, his chest on his back, his beard on his left cheek. "Why do you keep running away from me?" Jesus said. "In your world, where you look for love, you will not find it." And these were not just words. Joe felt the love of God pouring over him in warm waves. He felt a love that surpassed that of his own mother, and he felt a warmth descending from his head to his feet, cleansing and freeing him completely. Just like Jesus in the parable of the lost sheep, he left the 99 to find the lost one. In this real case, in heaven, Jesus left a crowd of thousands to bring Joe into the fold, a lost sheep. Moments later, Joe found himself back in his seat of the church, and his life changed from that moment on. He no longer needed to run from God. Joe was indeed a new man. The lost sheep returned to the fold of the Father, and forever.